2023 is a big year for DC live action movies. As for this year, we are getting 4 different DCEU movies, that being Shazam! Fury of the Gods, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman and Lost Kingdom. And with the whole discussion and speculation on James Gunn's supposed reboot, a lot of people have been speculating on if these films are even worth seeing, as a lot of people think that after James Gunn's plan, works accordingly and is, in effective use, that a lot of the prior movies won't matter as much, as they might not fit into the continuity, and the universe as a whole might be rebooted entirely. So it's just been kind of, discussion going around is, do these movies even matter? Do they hold any, significant stance in, worth your time to actually watch these movies? And it was stated in a Variety article that James Gunn's plan is a broad but not a complete reboot, or clean slate. So that can mean a multitude of things. It could mean, they might recast an Aquaman, but they might keep Blue Beetle or the Shazam family. It's kind of unclear. But I know for a fact that a lot of, or I guess specifically the events of the Flash movie, probably won't have as much significance going forward. Because I would assume that they would have to recast Ezra Miller after the events of the Flash movie, because it would just be weird to get rid of Henry Cavill, but to keep Ezra, I think that caused a lot of backlash and a lot of fan outcry. Because there is reports that executives at Warner Brothers are contemplating on the idea of keeping Ezra, but at the end of the day, that I think that decision would solely be based around what James Gunn and Peter Safran envisioned for the future of DC. So I think Ezra's fate is more likely in their hands instead of Warner Brothers executives, but I guess we'll see what happens in the future. And it seems like Warner Brothers generally has a lot of faith in this movie, as there's been a lot of reports that they have such high confidence for this movie, and the test screenings have done really well. And if the movie is a success, box office and critic-wise, it wouldn't really be because of Ezra Miller, and I hope Warner Brothers realizes this. So I think going forward, if the Flash movie does really well, you can still do future Flash movies, but just recast a new actor. I feel like everybody would win in that situation. Because a while back, there were just a series of reports that were like, oh, Man of Steel 2 is in development, and Wonder Woman 3 is being in development by Patty Jenkins. And in that report, it had the Flash 2 script was already written. So, but this whole James Gunn thing, I'm not really sure where that's gonna go. And then with all this in mind, with Jason Momoa and rumors of him wanting to play Lobo or be involved in a Lobo project, and if that goes through fruition, it's most likely he won't play the character of Aquaman anymore. But I think out of all of the main DC movies coming out in 2023 that could carry on to James Gunn's future is Blue Beetle, considering the fact that it'd be a newly introduced character, and as long as there are no mentions of previous events in the previous DCEU, I think it could fit very well. But I guess with all that in mind, I guess that begs the question, does it even matter? Is there even a point to be excited and to even watch these movies? I mean, personally, I'm gonna see all of them in theaters, or at least at some point when they come out, but I think the importance or value of these films shouldn't be necessarily based around whether or not they fit in the context of the universe, but I guess just for rather what they are as films. I mean, funny enough, even with the whole Ezra Miller stuff and controversy, I'm really excited for the Flash movie, because it's you've seen the return of Batman, and I'm just genuinely curious on what Andy Muschietti's doing with the storyline and how he's adapting the the Flashpoint story, which could have ramifications in the future going forward, but I guess we'll see. And the Blue Beetle movie is also another one I'm really looking forward to, as the actor Tola Duenya. I've solely recognized him from Cobra Kai, and I really enjoyed his work there. So I'm like, all right, you got the perfect casting, and the behind the scenes set photos of the suit looks amazing. So it was supposed to be on HBO Max, but then they pushed it for a theatrical release. So I know Warner Brothers has confidence in this film as well. But for those that kind of just don't have any anticipation for DC at the moment, I understand it, because with all the weird acquisitions and leadership changes and actors leaving and going, it can just be a lot, and it just feels like they don't know what they're doing, and it kind of just leaves, I guess, some more melancholic note on whether or not they actually might have their stuff together. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you are a DC fan and you do like these characters, I recommend watching these movies. If they're good or not, obviously, assuming that all 4 movies are like well out and just well developed films, then yeah, I'd probably still see them, even if they don't have some significant, I guess, impact on the universe going forward. And because that could change, if like Shazam is really successful, they might do something with that, but I doubt it. I mean, I don't really know if like the Shazam aspect of the DC universe really has a connection, like a really impactful connection with audiences, as both, you look at the box office for like Black Adam. Technically, it's a flop because if you take into account with its budget, it had like a $200+ million budget, and it only made not even like 400 million backs in profit. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, with his portrayal of Black Adam, he's more focused on fighting Superman instead of his main adversary. But that's a discussion for another day. But I personally, I am more optimistic about James Gunn's future for DC, and I guess we can only hope for the best.